And now, an Etsy holiday gifting mission. Today's episode, Operation Delivered on Time. Here's the situation. The holidays are coming up, which means you're on a mission to buy handcrafted gifts, and they have to be delivered on time. Failure is not an option. You need a guarantee that everything will get to its destination. Impossible, right? Not this year, because you're shopping for gifts on Etsy. Etsy is where everyone can find handmade gifts from independent sellers and get them delivered on time or your money back. Whether you're searching for handmade home pieces like serveware, cutting boards, and throw pillows, or personalized items like necklaces, handbags, and seasonal jackets, Etsy has it and delivers on time or your money back. New to Etsy? Use the code HOLIDAY10 for 10% off your first purchase. That's code HOLIDAY10. Maximum discount value of $50. Expires December 31st, 2023. See terms at etsy.com/terms. To claim refund, see terms at etsy.com/protection. Etsy account required. Etsy has it. Shop Etsy.com.
Your favorite band's about to play a sold-out show. You got in.
Over here!
With a friend. And found a spot close enough to see the set list. They're definitely playing your song. When you're with Amex, it's not if it's going to happen, but when. American Express. Don't live life without it.
There's never been a better time to find out why BetMGM is the king of sportsbooks. Download the BetMGM app and place a $10 moneyline wager on any NBA playoff game. If either team hits a three-pointer in the game, you'll win $200 in free bets, regardless of your wager's outcome. Just use code LIBERTY200 when you make your first bet. Sign up now and discover BetMGM's daily promotions, boosted odds specials, and more. Download the app or go to BetMGM.com and use code LIBERTY200 to win $200 if either team hits a three in any NBA playoff game. Visit BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. Must be 21 years of age or older to wager. Pennsylvania only. New customer offer. All promotions are subject to qualification and eligibility requirements. Rewards issued as non-withdrawable free bets or site credit. Free bets expire 7 days from issuance. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, help is available. Call 1-800-GAMBLER in partnership with Hollywood Casino Morgantown.
This episode of Storyworthy is brought to you by Junie Essentials. Looking to reduce your plastic waste but not sure where to start? Well, start by replacing your plastic toothbrush with the Junie brush, made by Junie Essentials. This bamboo toothbrush is the best bamboo toothbrush out there. Unlike others, Junie's brush has a smooth, luxurious finish and soft, tapered bristles that get in all the hard-to-reach areas. No need to compromise between sustainability and quality. And there's more. This month, Junie is launching its starter kit, which includes 2 brushes, all-natural toothpaste, a bamboo toothbrush travel case, and more. So go to JunieEssentials.com and click Shop. That's JunieEssentials.com. And don't miss out on the 20% discount for the month of March. If you use the discount code STORY, my listeners will get 20% off their purchase. That's right. Use the discount code STORY, and Storyworthy listeners will get 20% off their purchase. Junie bamboo toothbrushes. Clean, smooth, sustainable. Big smile. Hey, it's Christine from Storyworthy. Today on the show, comedian, writer, producer, surgeon, media critic, and television host Bassem Youssef talks all about being interrogated in Egypt for telling jokes.
Why am I here? Here because of your accused of 4 accounts, insulting the president, insulting Islam, spreading false rumors, and disrupting the fabric of society, whatever the hell that means. I made fun of the military leaders who were in power, and that didn't go well. And the people who love me because I made fun of the Islamists, they hated me because I made fun of the military. So overnight I turned from like a national hero into the most hated person in Egypt.
Today on the show, comedian Bassem Youssef talks all about being interrogated in Egypt for telling jokes. Stay close.
Hey, my name is Bassem Youssef, and you're listening to Storyworthy.
Welcome to Storyworthy. My name is Christine Blackburn, and I'm coming to you from Los Angeles, California. Whether you're a longtime fan of the show or a new listener, welcome to Storyworthy. I hope you guys enjoyed the story last week by comedian Jessica Winther. Here's the problem. Here's the problem there, Bassem. Bassem. I should say Bassem, right?
Yeah.
Bassem. Here's the problem there, Bassem. Jessica never got to her story.
How come?
It was the first time in over 10 years that she didn't get to her story because we were chatting it up so much, and she's so interesting. You know, she's a comedian and a talent, but she's got a lot of interesting stories, and we just never got to her topic. So I have to have her on again. And then we're going to do the actual topic. So this was more like an introduction to Jessica Winther, but a super interesting girl. And she was a stunt woman and just has had a crazy life. Anyway, go back, you guys. Listen to Jessica Winther, but not today, because today I am here with Bassem Youssef. And Bassem has been on a lot of shows. I'll say that, Bassem.
Yeah.
You've done a lot of big shows, you know, because you were interviewed by Jon Stewart, Larry King, a lot of big people. And then you've also been on a lot of podcasts, and you are always creating content. You know, you've had books, and you're on podcasts, and you have this plant-B diet that you're talking about. And so you are definitely a creative type. And it's so interesting because I know you are a doctor as well.
Yes, well, actually, that comes back to being a doctor, because being a doctor means that you're being a nerd, meaning that you have to fill your time with doing something. So if I'm not studying books, I need to create something. So it all comes back to me of like my nerdy side. I need to do something all the time.
That's interesting. And you were a doctor in Egypt, I know. And do you have your license in the United States as well?
I did. I had a US. I passed all of my USMLE exams, and I did my license exam. And as a matter of fact, in 2011, I was coming to America because I was accepted in a clinical fellowship in Cleveland.
Oh, wow. In Cleveland.
Yes.
You know, they call that the mistake on the lake. Have you heard that?
Of course. Absolutely. But like, and nothing tells you how desperate I was to leave Egypt, like getting excited to go to Cleveland. And I had everything was like lined up. I had I'm just waiting for the papers, to finish my H-1 visa.
Oh,
and
wow.
then the Arab Spring broke up, and then and my life changed forever. I had
You went home immediately?
No, I was still in Egypt.
You never got out.
Yeah. I was just waiting for the papers. I mean, I visited America many times, but that was like me getting ready to go and start a new life as a doctor in Cleveland. And then the Arab Spring happened, and then my life changed forever after that.
Wow. You have lived such a huge life already. I know you're under 50, right? You're under 50.
I'm going to be 47 next month.
Oh, my gosh. You're a baby.
I know.
And I think of how much you've done. That's really incredulous. You've lived through so much. And you bring forth a topic today, getting interrogated in Egypt for telling jokes. So I don't think that has to do with the Arab Spring part. That's a different part of your life.
No, it is actually in the heart of the Arab Spring.
It is in the... Okay, good. Okay, great. Well, we're going to hear about that in just a minute. But before we do, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about your new book. And this is a children's book, which is interesting. It's called The Magical Reality of Nadia. And I know that's your daughter.
Yes.
And so the reality is that there's two worlds. Is that the idea?
Well, the reality is that Nadia is a very real person. And she is all about facts. She's all about like fun facts. But then her reality starts to get disrupted because a newcomer in school comes in and he doesn't really appreciate her culture. So he starts to, give her a hard time. So, her life is falling apart. She doesn't know where to belong anymore. And then suddenly she finds like a magical pendant from ancient Egypt where a teacher, an ancient Egyptian teacher was locked there for 2,000 years. Mm-hmm. And you can think of him as like, the genie from Aladdin. Same character, right. Same bubbly thing. He's very modern, but at the same time, he belongs to the ancient times. And he comes out and in order for him to regain his humanity and become full human again, he needs to fulfill 7 wishes for her. So with each wishes, he becomes, much more closer to being human again. But meantime, he takes her into these magical journeys, and that's the magical part of the story, where he takes her into magical journeys through comic books and books, and through.
He shows her.
Yeah, he shows her. He takes her like they do like a book dive.
Carpet ride, yeah.
Yeah, carpet ride inside the books, and then suddenly they go into books, and then suddenly the book Each book kind of like turns into this magical world. And then he teaches her about lessons from ancient Egyptian histories and mythology. And through these lessons, she kind of finds a way to deal with her reality. So that's why it is the magical reality of Nadia.
And so Nadia is how old now?
The real Nadia is almost 9. She's gonna be 9 next month, and the Nadia in the books is like 3 years older.
Did your Nadia help you write the book?
Well, I was inspired by her, and then at the end I gave her the book, and she said, book is not accurate. It's like, Nadia, this is not an autobiography. It is like a fictionalized version of you. It's like, but I don't have bobbleheads. It's like, well, the Nadia in the book has. So it's kind of like she went back and forth of like how accurate the book was. It's like, Nadia, you're an inspiration, but it's not an autobiography.
Well, it sounds like you said earlier she's a fact-based person, so she just went with that.
Yes.
Now, are you sure it's a children's book or is it a YA book?
Well, I mean, adults that have read that book have actually enjoyed it very much.
But what does it look like? What is it?
So it's a chapter. It's a chapter book. It's a chapter book, but it has illustrations, kind of like peppered in many of the pages. But it's a chapter book.
Who did your illustrations for you?
Oh, Douglas Holgate. He's a wonderful illustrator. And I have to say, I have to give credit for Nadia for finding him. So Scholastic were sending me, different samples from different artists, and I like them, but like no, not a single one of them clicked. And then Nadia was watching Netflix, and she was watching The Last Kids on Earth, and I loved the illustration. So I was on the phone with Scholastic at that time. I was like, who has done these illustrations? And so like, I think we can get him, and they sent him the draft for the book. They loved it, and he's on board.
Dude, that never happens like that.
I know.
That is so fortunate. You saw it on TV. They said, I know that those people, we'll talk to them, and then it just happened. That's so exciting.
Yes.
Well, I'm really excited to look at the book and to read it. My daughter's 14. I think she'd enjoy it. Now, let me ask you, are you doing any kind of a book launch? I mean, you're with me now. I know you have a PR agent and you're working everything, but are you doing a bookstore or a virtual launch?
Well, because of the COVID, it's been hard. But what I'm doing is that I also do comedy. I do stand-up comedy, so I tour around the United States. So, I bring books with me, and I do like some book signing when I'm in these places.
Good. And I work for Skylight Bookstore in Los Feliz here, so maybe I can help you.
Oh my God, I would love to come, and as a matter of fact, I can come with Nadia, and Nadia can co-sign with me some books.
That's so sweet. Well, again, all of our events are virtual, of course, but I do 2 or 3 a week, and we get. There are, at least in our store, we do like 7 or 9 a week now. Not in the store, all virtual. Mm-hmm. But I personally host about 3 a week, and we've been getting some really good size audiences. I'm talking like over 200 people and all over the world, which is neat because this, on one hand is obviously a horrible time during the pandemic, but also at our store, we could only hold 65 people. So now all of a sudden this is opening up, and I made up the tagline. What's the tagline? I made up the tagline now. So don't forget, you guys, you got to click on the button in the middle of the page so that you can buy your book from us, Skylight Bookstore, everyone's neighborhood bookstore, even if you don't live near us or something like that.
Nice. I would love to be on these one day.
Okay, let's. You're so European, by the way.
How come?
The accent, the sophistication.
That is a very scary Arabic accent. I've been working on it not to scare you. I mean, I can show my very Arabic accent that like I can scare you. The kind of accent that kind of like ooh, suicide bomb, bomb.
Say this. Say passport.
Passport.
Shit. That is very scary. Okay,
I
now hold up a bottle or a glass, anything that's near you, and say, I don't drink beer, but when I do.
Well, I think it's like the reason I don't drink beer is that I cannot justify the calories to God.
That's so funny. No, but you remind me of the guy, is it the Dos Equis guy? Wait, who's the guy, the suave guy? Or is that... On television, who's the suave guy?
That suave guy. Oh yeah, the guy with the beer commercials. Like I don't do like he's the most
Interesting man in the world.
In the world, yes.
You would be in that casting room. That's what I'm saying.
I need to shave.
Well, I'm anxious to hear your story, Bassem, because I've had another guy on the show, Bill Dawes. He's a comedian. I don't know if you know Bill. He's also an actor and a model. He's very accomplished. But anyway, he was in Egypt and then did that silly photo in front of the pyramids, took his pants down or something like that. You can't do that, Bassem. No.
Can't do that.
So he was held and he was interrogated, and it was ugly. And I was on the seat of my pants the whole time the seat of my chair the whole time because, I've traveled extensively. I used to be a flight attendant and I was in the Peace Corps and I've traveled around and I know the feeling of feeling like looking around like, this is not a good situation because I am outnumbered, and just feeling unsafe and feeling like I don't want to be here. Now, you as an Egyptian, I'm anxious to hear your story. As an Egyptian, did you feel that? Well, I guess we should talk about it later, but I'm just thinking because, you're speaking their language. You look like them, they look like you. Was it less scary because you at least...
It was different because the show was extremely popular. So there was like two forces working at hand. It was like people were kind of supporting the show. So at that time, the authority was a little bit afraid to kind of take me out. It was not until like a year later when the military authority came in and they were like much more stronger and they took me out. So there was a momentum of the revolution that people, there was the will of the people and whatever, but it kind of fizzled in a couple of years. And the authority became more authoritarian, if you want to say it. And I had to escape eventually.
Well, I'm really excited to hear your story. Now, you've seen what's going on and what has happened in our country in the last 4.5 years. And in a way, you must think, I've seen this before.
Yes, well, I use that a lot in my comedy routine, and I do the comparison. But like, let's be honest, it's never going to be like what we have, because at the end of the day, here you have like balance of powers, you have checks and balances, you have a system that kind of protects you. The president cannot just like decide to put someone in jail. They cannot do that. He can pardon people, but he cannot take someone and put them in jail. There is a system. There is a due process that you can use to defend yourself, especially when it comes to freedom of expression. Yes, you could be canceled, you could lose your job, but you will never lose your freedom because whatever opinion you have to say. And we can draw the comparison and make fun of it, but I don't think that's it.
It doesn't equate because we're such a young country anyway.
Yeah, you still have a lot to learn about oppression, and I think you are going to the right direction. So I think like if you give yourself some time, I think you're gonna be there soon. And America can excel and be exceptional in everything else.
It's so interesting. I was in Istanbul about 5 years ago, and coming back to LA after Istanbul was just. And I've been a lot of places, but for some reason that really stuck to me as, wow, here in LA, you guys, I want to look around and say, you guys have no idea what's going on outside this world. You guys, I look around the Trader Joe's and I'm like, dude, you guys, you wouldn't believe how many people are outside this country. We are severely outnumbered in population. It's so funny how Americans, we think we're everything. This is all we need. And in a way, it's true. Unless you want to learn culture, but still.
It's self-sufficient. Like you've got your Trader Joe's, your gym, your bar. Where else do you need to be?
It's true. No, it's absolutely true. And if you live in a city like LA, we have so much culture and so many fabulous museums. And then if you go down that path, we all have the internet too. So everybody can be learning. I
Yeah,
don't know, man. Listen,
exactly.
I'm excited you're here. We're going to get your story in just a second. But before we do, I wanted to remind everybody that we are playing Story Smash, the storytelling game show, every Friday night, live and streaming on YouTube and Facebook at 7 p.m. Pacific time. And man, oh man, it has been funny. I'll tell you what, I have the best people playing, you guys. I had Wendy McClendon Covey recently and Wendy Liebman. Oh, look, two Wendys. Of course, Blanca Patch is there every show. Greg Proops has been there. Danny Zucker plays all the time. Melissa Peterman plays. Wayne Fetterman was on last week. So you guys, you got to tune in for Story Smash. There's no tickets involved. Just watch live and streaming every Friday night on Facebook. I'll tell you something, Bassem, you would really love my game show. You would love it.
I would love
want you to
yeah.
see it. I want you to
Yes.
play it. I think you will get a kick out of it. It's such a wonderful respite during this pandemic because everybody laughs the whole hour. You know, I've been playing this game for over 10 years. So we did it at the Improv for 3 years before the pandemic, every single month. And we sold out every single month in the lab. Yes, the lab. But anyway, we would sell it every month. And now we've got it virtually. We figured it out. I turned my dining room into a game show studio, as you will.
As you
see
will,
the
yeah.
curtains behind me. This isn't just,
Yes.
this isn't normal. But anyway, buy some equipment.
Yes.
Everything's at a consumer level. Boom, boom, boom. We got a game show. So you guys tune
Okay.
in. And also you can check it out online, of course, at storysmashshow.com. And also follow Story Smash on Instagram at Story Smash. All right, you guys, he's here right now. You've heard him talking. Bassem Youssef. He is a very interesting guy, as you've heard. He is an Egyptian. I don't know why we have to say that, but okay, let's say that. Yeah, of course we have to say that. He's an Egyptian comedian, writer, producer, surgeon, doctor, media critic, and television host. And he hosted the show called, I'm going to kill this name, I know it, but El-Bernameg.
El-Bernameg, you're right. El-Bernameg, it's good. It's called The Show. It simply means The Show.
Great. Oh, El-Bernameg. So now we've all learned something. How about that? It was a satirical news program similar to Jon Stewart's show. And this is where you blow me away, Bassem, because I haven't had that many of the 100 most influential people in the world by Time Magazine in 2013. That is exciting. That's exciting.
Yeah.
You should hang that Time Magazine in your kids' room, both of them. And then it'll be like, okay, don't you forget who your dad is. Okay? Don't forget.
They don't care.
I know. Tell me about it. You think my daughter cares about me? I get it. You also were named one of Foreign Policy Magazine's 100 leading global thinkers. And clearly you do have a lot of knowledge about many topics. It's very interesting. You also, like I said, you've been interviewed by a lot of interesting people, like on The Late Show with Stephen Colbert and my boyfriend Larry King and Trevor Noah and Samantha Bee. I love Samantha Bee. And your new children's book, The Magical Reality of Nadia, was published by Scholastic, which is a pretty big deal. You've got a website all about eating a plant-based diet over at plantbee.tv, and you're also over there on Twitter at B Youssef, Youssef. All right, you guys, wherever you are, put your hands together for Bassem Youssef.
Thank you so much. So, my story starts in the Middle East. So, in the Middle East, you're basically expected to be one of three things: a doctor, an engineer, or a disappointment. So, I chose to be a doctor. I became a doctor, I became a heart surgeon, and I just I lived my life happily ever after as a nerd. The thing is, I actually didn't like being a doctor that much. And even when I was a doctor, I had to find some sort of an outlet to myself. So, as I am being a resident in the Department of Cardiac Surgery, I also was teaching salsa because I loved salsa and I loved tango. And I was like a salsa teacher. So this is kind of like it was my outlet. And it kind of it kind of tells a lot about what will happen in my life later, that I cannot be kind of honed down or tied down by one thing. I need to have some sort of enjoyment in what I do. So I wasn't enjoying medicine, so maybe I would enjoy dancing on the side. So I studied very hard in order to leave Egypt, and I was accepted in a clinical fellowship in Cleveland, and I was getting ready to leave, and that was 2011.
Let me ask you something. Did you apply to many places in the United States?
Yes.
And were you excited to get into Cleveland, or were you like, oh my God, Cleveland?
No, I just wanted to be in America in any
didn't
way
matter.
possible. Yeah, I just wanted to be in a better
Nice.
system to be a doctor there.
Yeah.
And then when, as I was waiting for the papers to come, we had a revolution, and people took to the streets in order to take out the president that was in power in for 30 years. And I know what you guys think, a president for 30 years. And I said, like, yeah, that's a very short first term where we come from. It's like we like to have like those like long-term relationships with our dictators, while you guys every 4 years you get so stressed out. You would just want a new president, which I don't understand. I mean, just I think it's very confusing, and it disrupts your life every 4 years for no reason, basically. And we had a revolution, and when you are in the streets, you realize that there are two different kinds of reality. The reality on the streets, people wanting a revolution, people wanting change. But according to the media, this was a conspiracy. So I know that, like in America, you're still getting to know the term fake news. We had fake news for 7,000 years. We kind of like perfected that art. We're very good at that. So I was pissed at the media. So as I said, I was mesmerized by Jon Stewart. Watched his show all my life. So I thought maybe if I did a show, I can mock the media, and I did that on YouTube. And so I did like very simple YouTube videos in my apartment, and I didn't think the videos would go anywhere. And then suddenly, millions of viewers were watching.
Okay, wait a minute. How did you start the show? Did you say to yourself, I'm just going to do what Jon Stewart did, like I'm going to have a desk and a suit, and
Yep.
was that
Yeah,
it?
yeah. I had like one camera and an empty apartment in my house, and I did the show, and it blew up. It just exploded. Like I had 5 million viewers in 7 weeks, and I understand like 5 million now is nothing. If your dog farts, you get 5 million views. But at 2011, that was like a huge amount of number in 2011 in Egypt, because the internet didn't have that much penetration. Not a lot of people were on YouTube at that time. So 5 million was like a phenomenal number. And then suddenly every single network wanted me to have a show on television.
Wow.
So, I was, and by that time I was, getting famous through the internet. And it was funny because I would go to the morning rounds in medical school, in the hospital, and then people would recognize me. It's like, oh, you are the funny guy on the internet. It's like, wait, are you going to operate on me? It's like they were having second thoughts. So it was a kind of different and difficult a little bit to kind of maintain a straight face while you're like telling, well, if you don't do the operation, and if you don't crack your chest up, you're gonna die. It's like, you're joking with me, doctor. And it was fun, and then I ended up being on television, and I had a show. A huge show, basically. I had like 40 million people watching the show every episode. And these were like crazy numbers.
Now, wait a second. Did you have a staff, and did you go to a studio, and what kind of station was it on, if you could compare it to an American television?
So if you can, it was one of the, main, it's like being an ABC or CBS, in our heyday, because streaming was not a huge thing at that time. So, and I had, it's like Jon Stewart, but like with the 5 amount of numbers that Stephen Colbert or Jimmy Fallon will get, and it was in a theater. We kind of got a theater in the downtown Cairo, and it was an hour-long show weekly, and it was not just like me being in a desk cracking jokes, but it was also having, we had kind of like musical sketches and musical hits and dancing and everything. It was kind of like a small piece of Broadway every week.
Wow. Did you get to make a lot of the decisions? Did you get to cast a lot of the bands, dancers, whatever?
Yeah,
or did you have a whole department?
No. I mean, like I was involved in everything, and it was weird because I was never trained into that. And as a matter of fact, I hired a lot of people, veteran producers, and then I fired them all after 1 month because I didn't find the passion in them. So I kind of hired like a whole team that was out of college that never worked in media. So all of us were newbies, and we were creating this out of nothing.
Bassem, that is so interesting. Really, that is fascinating. You had an audience then in front of you?
Yes.
And of course, there was a budget. You had to pay for cameras, and there was
That
everything.
that came from the network.
Okay, good. Okay, I see.
Yeah.
And so then you got to cast people that, like you said, were like eager. That's so smart to do that,
Yes.
right? Like people
Yes.
that are hungry. And that must have been a lot of fun.
Oh yeah, it was a lot of fun, but also a lot of stress. I mean, when you have 40 million people watching the show, that means that you have 40 million people that has an opinion about you. And it's a lot of pressure. I mean, it will always like you have to maintain a certain level of quality. And a lot of people would also say, "Oh my God, you're so brave. You stood against power. You're doing political satire against." I didn't think about that. I didn't think of this as being a brave work. I thought about it like creating quality entertainment. I was worried about like what would people think about the next episode more than me being arrested or being taken away. That was actually much more important for me.
So how did you put aside your doctor career for a minute while you are now hosting a game show?
Not a game show, a political.
I'm sorry, not a game show. Yes,
a
while you're
political
hosting.
a political satire show.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's what I meant.
A game show. Come on.
Well, I'm thinking of Story Smash, man. Sorry.
Yeah. So we were having the show, and then with the rise of the show or the popularity of the show, there was also the rise of the Islamists. The Islamists kind of like won the elections after the revolution, and they kind of like were annoyed with me. So I was being attacked on their networks, on their television, on their TV screens. I was called all kinds of stuff, a traitor, an infidel, an apostate, and someone who doesn't like Islam, a self-hating Muslim, all kind of stuff. And they would criticize me for 7 days, and I would just come 1 hour a week and just destroy them by just using humor. But that was fine. That was freedom of expression going both ways. And then one day we were in the theater and we were watching television, and there is a warrant for my arrest being broadcasted by the networks, and I had to know from television. So I called my lawyer and said, like, what should I do? I said, well, you have to turn yourself in and if you're gonna go tomorrow, I advise you that you don't stay at home. Tell your wife and daughter to kind of like go to somewhere else, and you sleep over in the theater, so you don't have people like coming in and taking you at night. So which I did. I stayed over in the theater. I slept in the theater, and the next day I went to be interrogated. And it was fun because it was crazy because that was like being broadcasted on CNN, which is, it was, hey, I've been on CNN, but all for all the good, the wrong reasons. And then it was like still a popular show, so even the officers that were escorting me into the interrogation room, they were taking selfies with me, which is crazy.
So
And,
crazy. And wait, your
yes.
wife knew you were going to do this. Was she terrified?
I mean, she was always worried, but like my wife is one of those people who kind of keep their emotions, unnoticed, so they don't want to put like extra pressure on you, which is very smart. And I went there and I sat into the interrogation room, and I wouldn't say it was scary. It was very dysfunctional. It was kind of like it's what you expect from a bureaucratic, dysfunctional system to be. And they were. And the first question was like, why am I here? And I said like, well, you are here because of you're accused of 4 accounts: insulting the president, insulting Islam, spreading false rumors, and disrupting the fabric of society, whatever the hell that means. And like the accusation in Egypt are very vague, and that's dangerous because how can you defend them? And then I said like, why am I here? I said, well, you are here so you can explain your jokes. I said like, what? I mean, what do you mean? And what do you mean explain your jokes? And I was asking like my lawyer, is this my torture to explain your jokes? And then they brought in like my episodes. It's like, we're gonna watch the episodes with you. And I said, well, they are on YouTube. Why do you need to bring me in to watch the episodes with me? You can just like watch it without me. And then they brought in the episodes, and they were recorded on like very old 700 megabyte CDs. And then they attempted to play the CDs on Windows 95 operating system desktop computer. And it wasn't working for half an hour. It wasn't working. And then I found myself involved in trying to actually make it work. So I found myself like I'm being their IT guy, helping them to play the evidence against me, which is crazy. And it still didn't work. So they said like, okay, we have backup. So we have transcripts of all of your episodes.
How many episodes?
So the episodes in question were 4 episodes, but they were an hour long. So the transcripts were very long. So they basically for 6 hours they interrogated me because of my jokes for 6 hours, and they kind of like read every episode, every joke for me, asking me to explain it. And the worst thing about this is that as they were reading it back, I didn't think it was that funny, so I went back and kind of fired all my writing staff. So no,
that's not true. I know that's not true.
Yeah.
So
and
wait,
then,
is your lawyer with you at this time, by the way?
Yeah.
Okay, so you go to be interrogated. Your lawyer's by your side.
Yes.
Okay.
And then at the end, like I was released on bail.
Boy, was anybody laughing during the show? Was anybody laughing?
What do you mean laughing during the show? You mean during the investigation?
Yeah, but while you were watching the show together, or listening to the show, or reading the show at this point.
Yeah, they were reading the show because they couldn't play the CDs. Well, they were lawyers on the back. They were laughing. It's like, yeah, we know this joke.
It's so funny, of course, right? I mean, anything funny like that, who wouldn't like bust out laughing?
I know, but it was very weird. And then I went back to my show, and I thought I was invincible. But like 2 months later, the Islamists were removed by the military. Now we have a new sheriff in town, and I'm an equal opportunity offender. I make fun about whoever is in power. But then I made fun of the military leaders who were in power, and that didn't go well. And the people who loved me because I made fun of the Islamists, they hated me because I made fun of the military. So overnight, I turned from like a national hero into the most hated person in Egypt.
Oh my!
And then I had my show yanked off the air, and then I went back to a different network, and I continued doing what I do, and then I had my show canceled for the second time.
Oh my gosh!
And then I had to escape. I escaped from Egypt in November 2014, and I never went back.
Oh my gosh. And so your wife, she's by your side the whole time. You have a daughter. And so the first time you get canceled, you still got all these fans. So you get picked up by another station.
Yeah. And then I get canceled again.
Put it all into that. You know, you get your team around you.
Yeah.
And then how many shows did you do there?
Well, I did like another. I went there for another 16 weeks.
Wow.
And then that was canceled again, yes.
Oh my gosh. Were you devastated to have to leave the show or was it like,
Absolutely.
I got to get out of here?
It was my life, but like it was canceled. And then I thought like, okay, I'm going to stay in Egypt. But then they went at me with those like lawsuits. And these are like lawsuits that had absolutely no legal basis. It was just like a way to put me in jail and kind of prevent me from traveling. So my lawyer said like, get on a plane right now, jump out like and just leave the country because you're going to be trapped here.
Is that right? So were you devastated to leave family and friends?
Well, of course at the beginning, but I kind of learned to adapt, and I'm kind of like loving my life here in the United States.
Well, I believe that now.
Yeah.
Of course you are.
Yeah.
What's not to love?
Yeah.
But at the time, it must have been, especially for your wife, to leave her people and leave. Everybody. You're leaving a whole culture.
Yeah, absolutely. But like, here's the thing about what I learned in the past 10 years. I think it is the most important thing that I have been through, not about creating a show, but about the ability of reinventing yourself over and over again. That is the most important thing. I had to reinvent myself from being a medical doctor into a political satirist, and then that's the biggest thing I ever done. But when it was that taken away from me, I had to reinvent myself in a new country. I had to do comedy and write in a language that is foreign to me. To do comedy in your second language, that's very difficult.
Especially English, because there's so many nuances. It's a messed up language.
and when you do stand-up comedy live with people in comedy clubs in English, that is even an additional layer of difficulty. And now I'm blessed that, like, I'm even writing an English book
Oh, yeah.
for children.
Yeah.
And it's been a very interesting way to kind of look at life and reinvent yourself over and over and over again. And I'm very glad that I went through that. So, I mean, I don't regret anything.
That's exciting. You've really led a really rich life. I have not heard great things about Egypt. I've never been there, but in general...
No, Egypt as a country is a lovely country to visit. I mean, it has the best beaches in the world. It has amazing history.
Really?
Whatever problems I have it because of my political stance. But, like, I mean, usually... foreigners, tourists who go there, they enjoy their time.
Except
so,
that
I mean, we have amazing beaches.
Okay, I guess the thing is like everybody goes to Cairo to see those pyramids, and I have never heard anybody impressed by the pyramids because I guess they're next to McDonald's or whatever.
They're not really next to McDonald's, but I'd say it's very close.
So people go for that reason, and then they just feel like it's nothing to see, and you kind of get ripped off in one way or another, and you leave. They don't stay.
Well, that has been a problem. But I have to say that, like, when I have like friends who go there, I make sure that they go with a tour guide. Or someone, or an Egyptian, to kind of like fend off the sellers.
Yeah.
And I think the sellers and the vendors are the people who are really giving like a bad vibe to the place.
Yeah.
But Egypt is much bigger than that. I mean, they have amazing history. Luxor and Aswan. They have like, 1/6 of the historical monuments in the world. And they have some of the best beaches. But you are right about like the vendors and the people who are making what should be an incredible experience into a very annoying experience to so many people, and people have been talking about this for years, and I don't know why they don't change that.
It's nothing new. Istanbul's the same way, and I wish so badly that I had looked at Yelp or whatever before I went to Istanbul.
Well, whenever you're going to go to Egypt, just let me know, and I'm going to prepare someone to. I prepared stuff for you. I'm going to have someone to be on your side and kind of fend off those vendors.
Well, I'm just saying, though, that there is a lot online. Like the scam that I got ripped off in Istanbul, I read about the scam as soon as I got home. Like, boom, it's right there. I just didn't read it first. I mean,
what was the scam?
It's when you get into a cab that is not at a cab stand or a car that is not at a car stand. It's just a random guy who says, I'll take you. They're always going to rip you off because you're in their fucking car and you're screwed. And so when you tell them the hotel you're going to, and we were staying in a really nice hotel, again, my fault because I didn't do this. You need to say to them, you need to pull into the valet. We're going into the valet because what they'll do is they'll go past the hotel. Oh, shoot, I missed it. Okay, get out here. And then that's when they do the money swap, right? So they say, they say whatever the amount of money was, 40, whatever, and you give them the money. And then they say, no, this is 20. And they've done a swap on the seat or whatever, and they get more money out of you. And you can't do anything about it because you're in the cab and you're now on the side of a road and you're not in front of the valet. You can't get help. So anyway, you never get into when you're in a foreign country, you really shouldn't get into any cars unless they're sanctioned. And of course, that's going to be more expensive to get the car from the hotel, but you should always get the car from the hotel and then the car back to the hotel from another cab stand, whatever.
Well, you need to have a little bit more experience. We cannot be like just privileged Americans all the time, right? You need something to kind of strengthen you. Prepare you for the world.
Do you have any family back in Egypt you miss?
Just my brother.
Yeah. Has he come over?
Yeah, he came here twice and he saw, I visited him in the United States and he loved it very much.
What was his favorite thing? I know what it is. The food.
Not really. He likes things about for example, how people are not concerned about having
clothes on,
luxurious things, and how with a very people can live in a good level without having to have amazing luxurious things, and he kind of looks into the more economical things. I'm having a lease. You lease a car for 3 years. You don't have to own a fancy car. And so that's so easy. That's so interesting, for him. that is like something that is, it just like makes life easier. He's older than me, so he's into like these practical solutions much more than anything. He likes, he's an engineer, so he likes the infrastructure much more.
What are the luxurious things you're talking about? Like what?
Well, people kind of like, people are always into cars, right? And people like back in my country, like they put like so much money into like a luxurious car. Here you can have like, a mid-sized car and you're fine.
Yeah.
You don't think about that too much.
You're preaching to the Subaru.
Yeah,
Bassem.
Exactly. I have a Nissan Rogue and it's fine. It's like I don't need like to have something that is luxurious. Yes.
Yeah. It's interesting. I don't think a lot of times Americans realize that about other countries, in terms of the opulence they like to live in.
Mm.
In Egypt, people think that just everybody there, in America, a lot of people think Egyptians, well, yes, of course, there's wealthy Egyptians, but the most of the people live in squalor.
On the poverty level, but there is also like a very kind of like a very small slither of society that lives a very, very opulent and a very, very luxurious life.
I know, like in Mumbai.
Or Mexico City.
Sure. But my point is like, how do you get to that elite? Do you born into that, or what do you do? You get a talk show, you get a late night show.
Yeah. You're either born into it, or you kind of get very lucky with work, kind of like get into it. But that is why the split, the rich poor split, in the Middle East in general, not just in Egypt, it's crazy. It's crazy. Yeah.
Of course, it is crazy. It is crazy. I just quickly, and I'm not dropping countries. I swear I'm not. But I was in Dubai.
Oh yeah, Dubai. Oh, you're talking about opulence.
That's like a crazy.
Oh yes.
Yeah, it's just so crazy, and I can't even imagine like what a birthday party is like, or a child's birthday party, or whatever. Like how do you even get gifts for people when everybody has such crazy things?
Yes, exactly. Yes. Yeah, it's
strange.
Yes.
Have you ever been to Dubai?
Oh yeah, I'm in Dubai the whole time.
What do you mean?
I travel there a lot because I do lots of work for the networks and stuff, like for the Plan B things. So I travel to Dubai a lot, and I've been there actually for almost 2 months in the last 2 months. Yes.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Even during the pandemic?
Oh yeah, Dubai is quite open.
I know, but do they have?
They are the second country in the world vaccinating its people. Like the highest vaccination rate in the world after Israel. So Israel is number one, and then followed by the United Arab Emirates.
Well, I guess that works well when you have that much money. Like in Dubai, they say that the sheikh can make it rain. They'll take airplanes full of water, put them up in the clouds, and when he wants it to rain, it'll rain.
Yeah, it's the cloud seeding.
Bassem, its technical name, cloud seeding.
Yes,
you are hilarious.
That's the cloud.
Much.
That's the name of like cloud, but it is very expensive. By the way, it's actually more expensive.
Well, yeah, obviously,
it's very, very expensive. Yeah.
Doesn't Dubai sort of look like Vegas in terms of its?
No.
No.
I have to disagree.
I'm just saying.
I have to disagree. I would say that Vegas is a knockout version of Dubai. Vegas is very tacky. So Dubai is a much more glamorous version.
See, I'm coming from a different place, and you don't even know what I was going to ask you. I'm saying from the airplane, in terms of it being an oasis in the middle of absolutely desert. Nothing is around.
Yes.
Nothing. And then that's what I mean. Vegas, there's nothing around. Well, Vegas is kind of building out now. But you know what I mean? Like there's that. Because I remember going up to the... what's the tower?
Burj Khalifa.
Burj Khalifa, yeah, Burj Khalifa, and looking out, and you could see the definition of the populace.
Yes.
You could see the humanity, and then beyond that, God knows what's out there.
It's desert, yes. Well, it's
desert.
Yeah, they've done amazing, like very impressive stuff there.
Yeah, I know, but that at the hands of who? Pakistanis and people that come in to work and they take their visas and they don't get any money. They live in these barracks. They live in barracks 200 miles out of Dubai.
This is not 200 miles, not that much. But the thing is,
100 miles.
Not really, no. 100 miles is Abu Dhabi. The barracks are within the city, but That's the problem with global economy right now. You have huge empires built on the backs of smaller people, and if the smaller people don't like it, there are other smaller people that would love to come and take the money. This is the world that we live in, unfortunately, right? It's kind of like nobody will force you to stay. You can leave, but you know that there's 10 people more that will come and take your job.
I don't know if some of these people can leave. In the situation in Dubai,
No,
I mean, listen, I've only seen the 60 Minutes, that version of it.
Yeah, but a lot of those
dire.
workers can easily leave, but it's just like they are locked in because of their need of money, which is terrible that you have to do that kind of labor because you need it. I think.
I know, but I've also heard stories that they're locked in because they can't pay back their debt, and they never will.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
Bassem, I could talk to you forever. Let me just ask you one more thing, and I think this is fascinating. You've done so much. You've led this incredible life. You're globally everywhere. You still pretty much can do anything you want to do. You go crazy places. You're writing books. You've got this plant-based diet thing. You're working, but you still want to be a comic. Isn't that interesting?
Well, it's good because I think humor is a great way to kind of like get your point across. And I think you can criticize and you can point out things, hopefully without offending too many people. If people take it in the right way, that like you're not really meaning it personally. And I think when you use humor, you can bring more people onto the table and have a discussion about what's happening. Hopefully without people being too stressed out and too angry.
Yeah. Right. But Bassem, like every comedian I know, and I know a lot of comedians. I mean, I've interviewed hundreds of comedians. It always comes down to something in childhood where you did not get that affirmation or attention you needed. I mean, there's something that happens in every comedian's life that says, that's it. I am willing to go on a stage and be absolutely criticized and, demeaned. I need that laugh so badly.
I don't think I have that same story because until the age of 39, I was a doctor. I was established doctors. And then kind of like the opportunity delivered itself. And I just like find myself being rolled into everything. It's kind of as if like I didn't control the circumstances and I was kind of pushed into that. I did one thing, it blew up, and then I did another thing, it blew up even more, and then suddenly I found myself in the middle. So it wasn't like I was pushed into it because I had an innate feeling that I want to like be heard or express myself. I just loved the art that Jon Stewart did, and I just wanted to imitate it.
But at the end of the day, you could go back to being a doctor, so obviously you like this more.
No, but I didn't like being a doctor to begin with, remember? Mm-hmm. So maybe this was my escape.
If you're on an airplane and somebody says, we have a medical emergency on board, is anyone a doctor? Would you hit your call button?
I would stay until they're really out of doctors. If there's absolutely no other doctors, like I used to be a former doctor, because I want to. I joke about like I'm not a doctor anymore, and because of that, many more people are alive today.
How many flight attendant announcements would it take for you to ring your call button?
I would say 5.
Like the flight attendant would be like, all right, we know somebody out there's jagging. We know somebody on this plane is a doctor. Give it up, people. Give it up.
Yes.
You crack me up. Listen, I definitely want to have you on Story Smash, but you'll have to be a judge. You can't play the game. You're way beyond that, because I can hear in your voice a fabulous judgmental tone that we'll use to our favor.
I can absolutely be judgmental.
Meantime, I will email you about the bookstore and Story Smash and all that good stuff. I'm so happy to meet you, man. I really am.
Thank you, Christine. And I'm also in LA, so I'm in your neighborhood.
Right on, man. All right, you guys, I got to wrap it up. Thank you so much for tuning into Storyworthy today. This was a fabulous conversation. You can find Bassem over there again on Twitter at @Youssef. And then, of course, follow me over there as well at Storyworthy. All right, you guys, one more time. On behalf of the very talented Bassem Youssef, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Christine.
My name is Christine Blackburn, saying, make it a Storyworthy week.
for joining us on the Storyworthy podcast. We'll be back next week with all new stories. Subscribe to Storyworthy on iTunes and visit the Storyworthy website at storyworthypodcast.com.
Have you ever lifted a piece of furniture and found the carpet underneath looks brand new, while the rest of it looks, well, not brand new? That's when you realize you need new carpeting. At the Home Depot, we have a wide selection of all the top brands. Best of all, we'll install it for you. And even better than best of all, we install it free. So all you need to do is choose from our hundreds of styles and colors. Start your installation today at the Home Depot. How doers get more done. Minimum purchase of $4.99. Exclusions apply. U.S. only. See store for details.
Membership fees apply after free trial. Cancel anytime.
Hi, it's Carl Deichler, CEO of Beachbody, and I'm giving away 10,000 free memberships a week to try our amazing Beachbody fitness and nutrition programs. Pick any program and just follow it step by step, like our 21-day fix program or the ab shredding muscle burns fat program. Plus, there's free support in personalized fitness groups with our community of over 2 million members. Now is the time, so don't wait. Go to beachbody.com to claim your free membership and start feeling great.